Hi, I'm gonna fix some of my handmade items today because while making new things is very fun and what I usually do on here, sometimes issues come up, some wear and tear or some little parts of an item that have never really worked, and then you should probably go back and fix those because, well, you made it and you invested a bunch of time and it would be nice to have a perfect item. I am guilty of not really doing that. I don't like fixing things, so I've been procrastinating, and I have a little pile next to me of items that I've made that all have a tiny bit of an issue, and most of them aren't major at all, so I'm gonna go through them and show you what my issue is, and then we can fix them together so that I finally get it done and maybe you find some motivation to do it as well, or maybe do it along with me. My first item here, and also the one that needs the most major attention, is my Elliot wrap. This is an adaptation of the Elliot sweater pattern by Wool and the Gang, and I made this using Camrose Host. And I love the sweater a lot. I've also worn it quite a bunch, even though it was kind of warm. But my issue with this is that it slips off of my shoulders all the time. I don't know if that's due to how I adapted the pattern or if that's a problem with the original as well. I couldn't really find anybody commenting on it, but I don't feel like I made adjustments that should affect that. Either way, when I wear it, these panels that normally aren't attached to each other kind of slip down my shoulders, and then the v-neck gets deeper and deeper. And I've been wanting to fix that, so what I did at first is I just put in a safety pin here where the v-neck meets so that it wouldn't slip down any further, and that kind of worked, but I was looking for a more permanent solution, and I thought I could just sew down these two panels, these triangular panels, because it is a wrap top, and that was my intention with it and why I made all of those adjustments. But I found that in wearing it, I don't really ever open the tie. I just have it closed and I slip it over my head and that's it. So I thought I could just sew down these panels and it would be fine and stop slipping and be a very permanent solution. So I did that to one of them at this point, and my issue with it is that I can't really do it to the other one with the way this is constructed, because I just can't get like my needle in here, or I can't find a way to sew this shut without, I don't know, the yarn being visible from the outside, because I don't have any more of this yarn. So I'm working with a closer color, but not really this. And also when I hold it like that, you can kind of see where I sewed down the panel on the inside, which I don't really like. So I'm going to be taking this out and looking for some kind of a solution for how to get this to hold together in the way that I want. So that is really the biggest problem. And then I have this crochet top here that I made following some kind of Instagram reel tutorial series. I don't know. I made this some years back with an acrylic yarn I had left over, and that is the main reason why I don't wear it, because it's just not very comfortable in summer. But the other reason is that the straps are too long, and because I really like the design of this, I want to give this one more summer, see if I put it on, if the straps actually fit me. I've been wanting to do this for the summer that just ended, but well, I didn't fix the straps. It's really cute. It has this dragonfly cut out in the middle, and I like the shape of it and stuff. So I want to make the straps a little bit shorter and see if I would put this on next summer. And then the rest of the items here don't need any major repairs, just like 5 minutes of attention that I've been refusing to give them. This is my Maybe Forever sweater by Veronica Lindberg. And as you may be able to see, I did not sew down the collar on this. So this is supposed to be double folded, and you're supposed to wear it like that. Wow, I'm so good at showing that. Like that. But I don't really like the way that looks on me. I prefer to have the collar like this. And I've found that with the yarn that I used for this, which is Drops Air, it's very floppy and it's stretching out. And I would just like to put some elastic in here. And the main reason why I never did that up until now is that I didn't have any elastic to put in here, but I did get some. And then I have two accessories here. The first one is this blue hat that I wear all the time. I made this with no pattern whatsoever and also with no decreases whatsoever. So I just knit a 2x2 rib in the round and then gathered all of my stitches on top and folded over this brim, and that's all I did. I don't even know what yarn this was. I think it has wool probably somehow, but no idea. And my issue with it is, where did it go? My issue disappeared. Ah, here it is. I didn't want to sew down the brim because then that makes it really tight. So I just attached it in like 4 or 5 spots, and one of those spots has this little bit of yarn poking out here. And it's bothering me when I wear it, and it like sticks out from the side of my head. So I need to fix that. And the same issue I have with this Sophie scarf I made on this side, where I just pulled my yarn inside and it always sticks out of it. And well, that's pretty easy to fix, but I also haven't been doing it, so that's what we're gonna do today. Okay, I'm gonna start with the Sophie scarf because that is by far the easiest. I think I did this like 7 times before and it never really holds because this is all acrylic yarn and it is like slippery. Is that a good word to describe it? I don't know. So I'm just gonna try to pull out the tail from where I put it in and then reweave it in, if that's the word.
Grace, I watched you sleeping, all worn out and dreaming. You slept through the fall.
Okay, that took 10 seconds and I got it. So this says, I don't want to say this is wearable again, I've been wearing this, but it is wearable again without me being mad about this tiny little issue. Second item on the list, my hat. I don't really know how I'm supposed to fix this because this is a very short end, so I don't know if it'll work if I just pull it through on the other side. Maybe I should just cut it off.
I know you love this time of year. It always makes you smile.
Okay, I tried to undo the knots so I could just reattach the brim to the hat with a different yarn, but I just realized that this end is not from that, it is actually my cast on, so I will have to make this disappear into the hat somehow.
Grace, I watched you breathing, all quiet and peaceful.
Okay, I pulled the end between the brim and the rest of the hat because I was trying before, I think, to pull it to the inside of the hat, and that wasn't really working because this is very thick and it was too short for that. So I'm hoping this will do better. I don't know if it'll stick there forever, but for now it's good enough. Okay, this is the elastic that I got for my maybe forever sweater. I got one in black and one in white, so I don't know, depending on what sweaters I make in the future, I can always put an elastic in the neckband or wherever I might need it. I'm gonna use the black one for this, obviously. It also came with this tool, which I don't know what that is. It's just a piece of wire, so I'm not sure what I would need that for, but I guess I'm gonna keep it until I figure it out. And well, I'm just gonna use my needle, I guess. We've like 2 strands of elastic through here.
Well, that night I somehow knew your patient heart was finally through, but I never cried.
Okay, I put in 2 elastics. I don't know if that was necessary, but I put one in like up here and one in right there, and then there's quite a bit of space in the middle, but I think if the top is secured and the bottom is secured, the middle shouldn't be a problem really. The only thing that was a little bit difficult was how to hide the ends of the elastic, just because, I don't know, it's a little thick for the amount of holes that this fabric has. So I just kind of hid them in one of these knit columns of my ribbing, and then I tied them together in the middle. So this is my top elastic and this is where my bottom elastic is. And then I made them meet in the middle and tied a little knot in hopes that that would prevent it from slipping out. And I think it works. I'm hoping it stays that way, but 2 knots would have to come undone for this to be a problem. So I think this one should be fine now, and we can move on to more complicated parts of the whole fixing process, namely this one. So I'm gonna try it on and see how much I have to take away from here. I believe I did that like 3 times before, and I believe it was about 1 of those double crochet rows. The problem is I made this so long ago that I don't remember how this was even attached.
I never cried.
Okay, I was able to undo the part where the strap was attached to the body for this side. The problem is just that I apparently worked this picot edge border afterwards, so this is still attached. For the other side, I was also able to undo where the strap was attached to the body, and on that side I also used the yarn from the strap to attach it. So I was able to just undo one of the double crochet rows. The problem is also the border, because obviously I would still have to undo that. I think in this case, though, I might just be able to kind of reattach it and hide the border in the back a little bit. I don't think it would be necessary to take all of it out.
Everything falls for a reason. Gravity pulls it to earth.
I I did some single crochets here where I connected the body to the strap. As you can see on the other side, where I didn't do it yet, the blue was kind of in front of the white, and while that didn't look bad, I feel like before, when the white was in the front, it looked more polished.
Witness the fall of grace.
Okay, I'm declaring this one done. I don't really think you can tell that I did anything at all, which good. Which is also why I love crochet, because you can do sketchy fixes like that. You could never do that in knitting. I feel like if you have just plain stockinette, for example, even if you twist one stitch, you can tell. For this, you can just kind of hide things in the crochet stitches, and it's really easy, and you can go in all kinds of directions and nobody will ever know. And now we only have my Elliot sweater left to fix, which I've been going back and forth about what to do with this, because I don't really know. I think the best fix that I've tried so far was just having the safety pin in, but I don't really want to have a safety pin there the entire time. I feel like the fabric is a little bit too delicate for that, and I didn't really like it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm definitely gonna undo this sewing that I did along here to attach the back panel, because you can see it from the front and I really don't like the way that it looks. So I'm definitely not keeping that. And then I think I might try to just attach this point where the two panels meet each other with some yarn, because that will not pull on the fabric quite as much as this thin safety pin did. And maybe I can like sew some centimeters together so that the force on the area is kind of spread out a bit. And I think that would probably be good enough to solve the issue I'm having without like hurting the garment long term. So I'm gonna try that, and if at some point in the future I decide it's not really working out that way either, I can go back and try another fix, but that would be the easiest route to take right now, and I don't really think it makes sense to do something really elaborate if I have an idea of something easy that might work. So let's try that.
Grace. None of us blamed you. Nobody shamed you when we laid you down. Everyone was there, you know, your folks, your friends, and me.
Well, safe to say neither of the things I did with this really worked. So for the top here, it kind of gapes apart every time I move, so you can see the yarn underneath. And I think I can fix that by just being a little bit more thorough and making sure that the top of it is actually attached and not just underneath, because then the top of the icot just kind of flops over and reveals the yarn underneath. And for what I did with the ribbing, I just sewed it together at the point where it seemed like it belonged together. And you can definitely see where I did that when I move, like here. Can you see that? I can see it in the mirror. I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah, but it looks weird. It's definitely not good. So for the ribbing, I'm gonna take it apart again, and then I'm gonna attach some ties like on the outside. I used to have ties on the inside. I got rid of them when I sewed the back panel down, which obviously wasn't the right decision. Anyways, I'm gonna have to make some new ties, which I'm getting a little bit frustrated. It was going so well, and now this, but well, that's exactly why I haven't done it up until now.
Gravity pulls it to earth.
Okay, I think for the ties I'm gonna just do exactly what I did on the outside, which is I made a little braid because I didn't have any yarn left over, but I actually like it because it's not stretchy. On the inside I used to have I-cord, but the I-cord was stretchy, and that was not really practical for a tie that's supposed to hold something together. So I think I'm just gonna cut off some yarn here and also make braids for the inside. Okay, I think I fixed both issues and this can finally stop existing as a work in progress. So for this one I just did more of what I already did before and pulled the yarn a bit tighter, so now it doesn't fall apart in the same way and reveal the yarn that I used to sew it together. And then for the part down here, I just attached both ties on the inside so I can also tie a bow like I did on the other side, and that way it doesn't do that weird bunching up of the fabric. So I think I'm done with this one, and that was my last item. I thought maybe we could do a little bonus round because I found 2 more items in my closet that are in desperate need of fixing. They are not handmade, and I'm gonna need a sewing machine for that, which I'm just gonna steal from my mom. But I should take care of that, and since I'm already fixing things today, I think I could also do that and take you along. Even though I'm not very proficient in sewing, I sewed a few things in the past, but never with a pattern. I just always went off of what I thought would work, and usually it worked, but it took a long time and it wasn't that fun to me, so we'll see if I ever properly get into it. But for now, I think some like sewing straight should be enough, so let's look at them. The first one is this pillow cover here, which one day I took out of the washing machine, and it had this rip down the middle of the fabric, which is not usually where things rip, but I don't know, maybe I slept on this too much. Anyways, it needs to be fixed, so maybe I'm just gonna sew a straight line down the entire length of the pillow and like hide this a little bit. I think that might work, because if I just sew the hole, then the fabric will be weird and bunched up around it. So that would be one thing. And the other thing, this is even more ridiculous because I've had this pair of pants for 2-3 years at this point, a long time. They are just these stretchy flared pants that I like to wear at home, that also attract my yarn like a magnet because it sticks to everything, but especially these pants. But basically these are a tiny bit long for me, so each time I wear them outside and I'm wearing shoes, I end up stepping on the back of them here. And if I'm inside, I mean, it also happens, it doesn't bother me as much, but yeah, I don't know, this has been a problem since the beginning and I've never bothered to take care of it. So ideally I would just kind of flop this inside and sew it down, and then that should be fine.
Grace, I watched you sleeping, all worn out and dreaming. You slept through the fall. I know you love this time of year. It always made you.
I was once again painfully reminded why I don't sew, because I like the part where you do the actual sewing, but all of the before, all of the preparations, except maybe the ironing part, which I think is kind of fun. But the seam ripping I just did, that took me an hour. I watched an entire Laura Penrose vlog while I did that, so well, I kind of had to, because it was like double folded inside and then folded again and then sewn shut, so it was already triple folded, and if I would have just folded it inwards, it would have been quadruple folded, if that's a word. So that was too thick and would have added too much weight to the bottom of the leg and just not look good with the flared pants. So I cut the double folded part off, and I'm gonna double fold it myself, and that way I think I'm probably losing about like 2 centimeters in length, which is perfect. But before I do that, I'm gonna go eat, because I've been hungry for like 45 minutes. Like actually hungry, you know, like I want to eat right now, and I'm shaking a little bit hungry. But I didn't want to stop doing that, and I kept thinking, oh, how long can it take to rip one seam? It'll be quick. It was not quick. Okay, it is a day later. I still haven't sewn my pants or my pillow because last night I asked my mom for help with the sewing machine. She came and we looked at it together. We switched needles, we switched stitches. It didn't work out. So then she brought her new sewing machine out, because I was working with a very old one that I learned a little bit of sewing that I know on. And she got a new one in the meantime that I never really looked into. So we got that one. We switched needles, we switched stitches, nothing worked. There's holes in my pants now because the thread got so tangled. At some point we had to take the sewing machine apart to get the thread back out there because it ate it and then somehow made knots inside of it. It was crazy. We sat there for like 4 hours not being able to figure out how to sew this like very basic line on the pants. So at that point I decided to give up on the pants. I'm gonna hand sew them because I am not doing all of that again. However, I still have the pillow, and the pillow is just a cotton fabric, which is very basic. So I think we should be able to do that at least. Where did my hole go? So this is the hole, and I'm just gonna sew a straight line down here, down the entire length of the pillow, so it doesn't look weird. And that way it should look fine. Unfortunately, the rip is not in the middle of the pillow, so it's slightly off to one side, and I'm gonna just do that, see what it looks like. And if it looks really ugly, I'm gonna just make a similar line on the other side of the pillow, like to make it symmetrical. Which takes away quite a bit of fabric, but I think it should be fine. It's just a pillow cover, so we're gonna try that, see how that goes. Hopefully I don't break the sewing machine again.
I know you love this time of year. It always makes you smile.
Okay, that was reasonable. That was first try. That wasn't that hard. That was exactly what I was trying to do with the pants as well. There's my seam here. You can barely see it. I mean, it does interrupt the pattern a little bit, but not too noticeable. And I'm just gonna leave it like that. It is not in the middle of the pillow, but like kind of. So I feel like when you're using it, you won't really be able to tell that it's off to one side. So this is usable again, even though the fabric is becoming see-through at the spot where it ripped. So it will definitely happen again, but for now this is fine. And now I just need to hand sew my pants together. That was honestly so easy that I'm starting to gaslight myself, and I'm like, it can't be that hard to sew the pants. But even my mom couldn't do it, and she knows about sewing and her sewing machine. So I'm gonna be smart and I'm gonna do it with my hands. I'm just gonna find a nice show to watch and be busy for the next like hour.
Race. None of us blamed you. Nobody shamed you when we laid you down. Everyone was there, you know.
Okay, this took me about 1.5 hours. I watched one tutorial on backstitching because so far when I've hand sewn things, I've just kind of gone with whatever made the two pieces of fabric attach. I had no technique whatsoever. So I did the backstitching. It doesn't look incredibly neat, I must say. It's wonky and there's different spaces between my stitches and the line is not straight. But you know what? It is black on black. It'll be by my feet. Nobody will see this. I won't see this, and it doesn't bother me. I tried something new. I tried doing it with a sewing machine, which would have been straighter, but whatever. I'm just glad it is shorter because this has been bothering me for such a long time. So that is the end of this video. I wish I had some encouraging words for you. I was kind of planning to give a whole speech about how even if you don't have perfect skills in mending or in sewing, you can still go in and make sure that the items you've made or the items you have in your wardrobe are usable to you and are working for you, and maybe it doesn't always need to be perfect, it can just be done, and that this was a great experience and I'm so happy I got it done, which I am, but also this was very frustrating. Honestly, most of it was fine. I was way quicker than I expected. I got most of it done yesterday. The only thing that really tripped me up was the stupid pair of pants. So if you have a very synthetic fiber pair of €15 Amazon yoga pants from 3 years ago and they don't perfectly fit, maybe just leave them that way. That is my advice. Other than that, fix your things. It's good, it helps, it makes you happier. And I hope I could give you some motivation, even though the last part of this was probably not very motivating to watch. However, if you had fun fixing things along with me, I would be very grateful if you liked this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.
Grace, I watched you sleeping, all worn out and dreaming. You slept through the fall.